I'm Mr. Santamont, and today we're going to draw superhero poses.
Oh, Chubbicorn.
Okay, today we're drawing some superhero poses based on this book. It's a Japanese book that I got from Stuart Ing Books at CTNX, which is an animation convention. I don't know the title, unfortunately, but hopefully that image helps you. We're going to start by drawing our little guy, just to understand the proportions, so we have some reference. So round head, cylindrical body with a little bit of width at the base, and then cylindrical legs with also some width at the base where the feet would be. And the arms are going to go past the hips, and then we'll draw the crosshairs for the face. So that is the proportion of our character. Now we'll be drawing a variety, like I said, of superhero action poses, but these can be for really any character. Alright, so we start with the head, and the next thing I want to do is draw a gesture line. So you see how that has a little bit of a wave to it, and because that does incorporate the torso, which I'm drawing right now, that little cylinder, and then I'm going to draw the leg that's in front first, so it's dramatically, it kind of exaggeration going up high, it's like a high knee, and then there's the shin. And then we'll use the gesture line that we first drew as reference for the back leg. So I've stretched out the legs just for added effect. And this character is upright and chest out. We have the fist, so arm bent. And this arm is going to be foreshortened. So the fist is coming towards us, the upper arm is towards us, and then, the lower forearm is towards us. And there's the side view of the head. And then I'll go ahead and clean up the lines so we know that the leg that we first drew, the bent leg, is in front. So we don't have the torso overlapping, just to clean up the drawing a bit. Alright, now the next one is going to be more foreshortened. So we'll have more angle from the head, the top of the head. I'll draw the crosshairs just to give reference to where I want the body to go. So the center of the face and where the eyes would be. And then I'm going to draw the gesture line kind of arcing a little bit. There's going to be foreshortening happening in the torso. We're going to have some overlap. So the head is over about a third of the torso. And then I'll draw an arm, kind of straight back, and then an arm forward. Now that arm could be punching, or the character could be flying through space or flying through the air. And then we also have that bent leg from a different angle. It's more of a top view. So you're going to see more of the thigh, and then the lower part of the leg is tucked underneath. And then the back leg is really foreshortened. See how it tapers off really quickly. So I'll clean up the drawing a little bit to make sure that that bent leg looks like it's in front. Just solidify some lines there. And I think we're good. Next, this is going to be a dramatic landing. So if you have a character who flies, who has a cape, or just has the ability to fly, they're landing and looking over their shoulder. So there's the gesture line just coming out from the head. And then we'll draw the torso curved along the upper part of that gesture line. And I'll draw the arms. So one arm, there's a little bit of foreshortening, that's why you see the arm coming out from underneath the head. And then the other arm is actually mostly behind the head in this case. We just see the forearm coming out. And then I'm going to draw where the eyes would be, and then the center of the head. And then just kind of shaping the eye socket and cheek and forehead there. And then we'll draw a bent leg that really doesn't go along at all with the gesture line, but we'll use the gesture line for the other leg, the straight leg. You want the gesture line to be a complete flow through the body. Now, not every gesture line will go all the way down to 1 foot, but if you can get a pose like that, go from the head to toe, it gets a nice smooth flow through the body. I'm going to go ahead and add a cape here just to show the direction that the character is moving. So like he was flying in the air and then is now, the cape hasn't fallen yet. It's still flying through the air as the character lands. All right, next we'll have a dramatic crouching position, you'll notice that the theme here is dramatic. We're going to really amp up the drama. And these are all poses that are from that Japanese book. I just redrew them to the proportions, to my proportions of my little character guy. But it's a great resource. Okay, so we have one leg that's bent, and then another leg that's also bent, but the knee is dropped to the ground. And then we have the leg tucked behind. Now that lower leg is foreshortened, so we're only going to see a little part of the cylinder. And then I drew little tiny creases where the hips are, just to give a sense of where the leg is attaching to the lower torso. One arm straight, one arm is going to be holding some device. Maybe the character has discovered some artifact or device, or simply on their cell phone if they have a cell phone. So let's draw a little rectangle there. It could be anything. And then we'll draw where the head is facing. So eyes are cast down a little bit, and then there's the cheek and eye socket, and then the center of the face right there. So just like a dramatic checking a cell phone, I don't know. All right, next we have a battle-ready pose. So this is a character who's facing off against enemies, presumably. I'm going to draw the gesture line right below the head, like I always do. And this gesture line will actually go from head to toe. So it'll go all the way down to one leg. And then, of course, we build the torso off of that. Now there's a flat bottom on the torso here because we're at like waist level. Our view is waist level. So you'll see the legs really get larger at the base right here. So this foot is going to be wide to emphasize how we're a bit lower. We're below the character. And then the other leg is a bit higher up, showing that it's in the distance. So they have a wide leg stance. So it's a very confrontational pose. So one arm is going to be tucked behind the torso, and the other arm right there is bent back. So you don't really see the arm, you just see a fist and a bit of the shoulder. And there we have the eye line, center of the head, shape of the cheek, and I'm going to draw little eyes just to give it a little bit more of a mouth, a more intense look there. Okay, now this pose is awesome. This next one, we're going to draw a guy, our character, walking dramatically towards us. This is a challenging pose because it's so subtle. So watch how this gesture line curves one way, then another, and then another. So you have this complex gesture line, and that's because there's a twisting of the torso. We have the shoulders dipped to one side, and then I'm going to build the torso off this curvature of the gesture line. And what makes this tricky is you're drawing a character walking toward you. So watch how I draw this arm. There's like the chest. The arm that I'm drawing, I'll draw the leg, yes. Let me just draw the leg. Get that gesture line established. Okay, so that leg is stepping forward. You can see how there's a little bit of the bottom of the foot visible. The other leg is going to be going back. So the leg tapers and then disappears behind our leg stepping forward. Now the opposite is true for the arms. So while we have the character's right leg coming forward, the character's left arm is going to be coming forward, so the opposite. And you see how I drew a little half circle for the elbow? That means that the cylinder is coming towards us. And the arm is also overlapped in front of the torso, which adds to the effect. Now this arm is going back, so it's smaller, it's tapering off, and we see the cylinder change direction and even go behind the body. And then now we'll just make these lines a little more clear. And then the center of the head. The head is looking straight at us. And then I'm just shaping the cheek a little bit. And some eyes for added effect. So this character is walking like a tough guy, and an explosion happens in the background. Of course, the classic movie trope of main character casually walking away, looking all cool, while something big explodes in the background. So this is just a cool pose for a dramatic character. Okay, this next one is really foreshortened. We have the head, of course, and not much of a gesture line. So I'm going to just draw the direction of the head first. Instead of a gesture line for this one, we're just going to draw limbs coming out from the head. I know it sounds crazy, but the torso is completely hidden from view. There's no torso here. I'm just drawing the top of the thigh coming down here, And then that's the knee, that's not the leg. And the other leg is bent. So we see a little bit of the thigh coming down, and then we see the bottom of the foot. So that leg is down further, if you can imagine. It's not bent, it's kind of bent, I don't know. Then we have the forearm and the fist is all we see on that side. And the other side, we see a little bit more of the arm straightened out. So I know it sounds crazy not to have a torso in the image, but this torso is hidden completely from view behind the head. So it's a dramatic jumping forward, or an above angle view. Okay, this next one is going to be another fighting pose. This one, one arm is more raised, and instead of the body being concave, it's convex. The chest is like puffed out, so it has a more of a dynamic look to it. So gesture line, and then I'm building the torso. You notice I drew that little angle right below the head. That's the angle of the shoulders. And then we are also kind of below this character. So we're looking up at their face. That's why you have those curves. And then I drew the cheek, and then the eyes, and even a mouth. Okay, so this arm is going to be like in a karate or boxing pose. So like just ready to fight. And then the other arm will be behind the body, just like we had with that other character, 2 poses ago. So leg is straight dramatically. There's a bit of a curve to it just to add to that like intensity of the leg. It's like a backward curve. And then the other leg is bent and also hits the ground above that front leg, just to show the distance, just to emphasize that it's like further away, or maybe he's on a slope. And that's it. So we have the, just straightening out some of those lines, clean those up. We have the fist behind the hip and no other arm because it's behind the torso. All right, so this one is kind of like a Spider-Man pose, I guess. We're going to draw a gesture line below the head. And this one, imagine a character who is maybe on the side of a building. And I guess it's Spider-Man because the arm is outstretched like he's shooting web or something. The entire book is all in Japanese. So if you find those books, unfortunately, again, I don't know the title, you won't know what they're talking about, but just the pose reference is enough, is really all you need. All right, so you see how the legs, where the feet touch the surface, are very dynamically like apart from each other. So that's clearly showing that the surface is a vertical wall, or we're above the character looking down at them. So arm outstretched, the other arm is going to be close to the body and also kind of holding on to that, maybe that surface, cleaning up those lines. And then we'll draw where the head is looking. I'll just draw the crosshairs really and a little bit of an eye socket there. Just leave it like that. There you go. Now this one is another really dramatic pose, very emotional. This is like those times when the character loses something, when they're screaming, "No!" like really dramatically. So you'll see what I mean here. So really dramatic gesture line. So we have the torso built off that. You notice the torso on this one is in front of the head. Very subtle, but it shows the head is tilted back. So the torso is in front. Legs are spaced apart. Again, there's that kind of backward curve to the leg just to add to the tension. And then shoulders are up. And both arms will be bent and curled into fists. This could also be a character maniacally laughing too. I guess you could change it to make it, like a villain who's just so thrilled that his plans have worked. Or somebody leveling up. Like maybe a character is emanating some force or has leveled up to earn more power, and they're bracing themselves for the new power or something. But I like this as the no pose, the dramatic no pose. All right, and we'll draw the mouth. This character's looking, you can't even see the eyes, it's just mouth. It's like when Charlie Brown yells, or whenever those characters yell, you see just their mouth. So that's all you have, is them screaming into the heavens. And we're done with that one. Next, we'll have like a karate kicking pose. It's like a jump kick. So start with the head, of course, and then the gesture line is going to curve off to the left, lower left corner. A little bit of a curve there, and then of course we build the torso, that little cylinder. And then this one will also have the arms coming out from behind the head. So a little bit of foreshortening there, but also just to show the extreme angle that the shoulders are. A little bit of exaggeration. So there's one arm, and then we'll see the upper and lower, like forearm and upper arm of that side there. And then we'll have the leg coming out. We'll see the bottom of the foot, so I'll draw the bottom of the cylinder once I finish the leg right there. So we know there's the bottom of the foot. And then we'll have the bent leg, which is drawn smaller, so it implies that it's further away or just less dramatic, less emphasis on it. Draw little eyes there. Okay, one more pose. I've got to have this pose in here. I'm going to draw the Iron Man pose. So this is when Iron Man dramatically lands from flying, like slams into the concrete. So we'll have the torso, no real need for a gesture line. I'm just going to start with torso, then one arm bent behind the head. And then we'll draw one arm, one fist slamming into the concrete. And then we can go ahead and draw the direction of the head, just facing us, kind of looking down, drawing the shape of the head there. And then we will draw the leg. So one leg coming down, knees slamming into the ground, and then we have the foot and lower leg foreshortened. And then the other leg is bent like that. So there you go. Just clean up some lines and we're all set. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave some comments on future suggestions for other videos, and I'll be happy to consider those and maybe do those in the future.